Welcome to the Equestrian Canada National Health and Welfare Call. This is an open call of anybody in the horse industry in Canada can sign in to listen to this call, and the call is posted after it's completed on the Equestrian Canada website under industry and then under horse health and welfare. The purpose of this call was set up so that we could communicate with stakeholders on a regular basis, monthly, providing infectious disease updates for outbreaks that may be occurring, as well as issues that may be of national interest for stakeholders. So it's generally a mixed bag of discussion, and then we do hold questions until the end because not everyone who has questions on the line is comfortable with that being on the recording. So it eases our opportunity for editing and makes our turnaround a lot faster. So I'm Dr. Melanie Barham. I'm the co-chair of the Health and Welfare Committee. So first, our first guest is Dr. Keith Murch from the Canadian Animal Health Surveillance System. So Keith, if you would like to unmute *6, please feel free to give your update. Keith, are you still there? Oh, I don't hear him, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead with the health and welfare update. And Keith, if you are on the line, press *6 to unmute, and then we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
So, Keith, is that you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Go ahead, Keith.
Sorry, I thought I was unmuted, but thank you, Melanie. I have two topics today. One is the transition of the Canadian Animal Health Surveillance System over to the National Farmed Animal Health and Welfare Council, and the other is related to the Chief Veterinary Officers of Canada. The CAS was an initiative of the National Farmed Animal Health and Welfare Council, recognizing that there were gaps in surveillance in Canada. So CFIA and AFC agreed to initiate CAS and fund and do the coordination and the secretariat role to get CAS off the ground and get it mature enough. It's at a point now where it can be transitioned outside of government. It never was intended to be a government organization, but it's matured enough now so that it's in a process of being transitioned over to the National Farmed Animal Health and Welfare Council, and the latest activity was a workshop in Winnipeg on June the 13th with CAS directors and council members on how to go about doing the transition. And so that's in the process, and it's hoping to be coordination, and the secretariat was hoped to be over to the council by early next year is sort of the tentative goal. Members were surveyed to see if they were supportive of the process of investigating the transition, and the members were very supportive of that. The second item is CAS met with the Council of Chief Veterinary Officers in late June, and with the purpose of having the provinces place or notify CAS on any equine, provincial, or territorial diseases notifications that are made public. They may or may not be notifiable or reportable disease, and the Chief Veterinary Officers agreed in principle to this, and a working group is being put together to investigate how this mechanism will work. So we're quite excited about that, and so that's my report, Melanie. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And Keith, if you don't mind staying on the line for questions afterwards, that would be great. And I just wanted to point out as well that Equestrian Canada has representation and pays a membership to National Farmed Animal Health and Welfare Council. So that transition, we would be a part of that, which is great. So I'll move on to the Health and Welfare Committee update. So the biggest thing that we have right now is that we're asking for all organizations in Canada that are stakeholders in the equine industry to provide feedback on the new equine infectious anemia regulations. And we are asking for that to come directly to Equestrian Canada. The public consultation that was open that you may have heard about through Equestrian Canada and other organizations has closed. It closed on June 30th, and our official response from Equestrian Canada as the national body is due to CFIA, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, on July 30th. So if you are an organization that has an equine interest or has any, if you're a shipper, if you're a importer, if you're a whatever you are in the horse industry and you are part of an organization or you have an individual opinion, or if you're a veterinary clinic or a veterinary organization, we would strongly encourage a response. Because basically what Equestrian Canada is trying to do is get a representative response from all of our stakeholders to provide a representative collated response about the proposal to Canadian Food Inspection Agency as they're seeking stakeholder input. The largest changes to note are that certain areas of Canada would be required to test for movement, and also that there will not be any, after a certain phase, there will not be tracebacks on animals that are infected. So they will test the animal that has been found to be positive, but there will be no further tracebacks out to other animals or epidemiological review. Among other things. And it will require permitting, so it will change how things are done, particularly between Western and Eastern Canada. So it is a very important program to take a look at and to comment on if you are part of the horse industry. So if you could send, if you are one of these organizations or if you have a personal opinion, please do send a response to Christy House at khouse@equestrian.ca. On a letterhead and in a PDF or Word document, and we are requesting that by July 15th, so that we can get everything together and provide a response. The other thing to note is that we will be appending all of the responses that we receive to our response to CFIA, so that it is fully transparent, so that everybody can see what is happening. Just a side note that isn't necessarily a health and welfare run initiative, but you may have also seen as an Equestrian Canada stakeholder that the Industry Development Committee had sought feedback from any members and an open call for feedback about a request for proposal for an updated industry study for the equine industry in Canada. So that feedback is closed, and they are moving forward with that RFP and seeking funding for that for a national initiative, which I think in general is great news for us, because the last time we had one was over 7 years ago. And that is it for my update. So we will move on to Shauna Curran-Cooper, who is going to provide the Equestrian Canada Medications Committee update.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. There's not a great deal to report. Testing is going well. We've done over 400 tests to date between blood and urine, and have had lots of positive feedback from those who are being tested, as well as from our testers, that the competitions are cooperative and that sort of thing. So the program is going well, and nothing of concern to report.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, that was a fast one. So we'll hold any questions for that for later. And then Christy, the last person to speak will be Christy House, who is another EC staff member who will be talking about regulation changes. Go ahead, Christy.
Thanks, Melanie. It's a reminder of the changes coming as of December 1st, 2018, that all medically important antimicrobials must receive a prescription from a veterinarian and can only be dispensed by a veterinarian or a licensed pharmacist or licensed commercial feed mill. The list of drugs as well as some additional information and fact sheets can be found on the Equestrian Canada website under horse health and welfare and in the resources section. So the main thing to remember with these changes coming is that you'll have to have a pre-established relationship or veterinary client-patient relationship with a veterinarian. Equestrian Canada will be continuing to get this information out as best as possible, and I know that the Canadian Veterinary Medical Association as well as the provincial veterinary associations are working on resources to help get people in touch with veterinarians in their area. So we'll be including to share that information as it comes available as well. And if you have any further questions or need help finding a veterinarian, you can also email me at khouse@equestrian.ca.
Great, thanks. So, yeah, just to drive this point home, if you should, before December 1st, if you are a horse owner in Canada, you really need to have a discussion with your veterinarian or whatever veterinarian you work with to ensure that you do have a valid relationship with them and that they will be able to prescribe antibiotics. So do make a plan with whoever your care provider is before December 1st, because what we desperately do not want to have happen is people to be caught without antibiotics in the event of an infection. So please make sure that you have talked to somebody and that you have a plan for how you will obtain antibiotics if needed. This is particularly important in areas where you may not see a veterinarian regularly, so in our northern communities or areas where there's not as many veterinarians. But do make sure that you have somebody on record that veterinarian is comfortable being your vet of record. So that's our big message, because you will not be able to get antibiotics elsewhere. So that is that. So I will open up the phone lines for any questions. So you can press *6 to unmute yourself and ask any questions.
Melanie, Cheryl James here. Can you hear me?
Hi, Cheryl. Yes, yeah.
Hi. Not a question. I just wanted to recognize the work that has been done by the Equine Health Surveillance Network. As Keith pointed out, we were successful at the last meeting of the Council of Chief Veterinary Officers to have them agree in principle to share information on outbreaks of notifiable disease in a timely way so that as they occur, not a year after. And we've been working on this for over a year now. Yeah. We've had people working on case definitions for equine notifiable disease, and we've had people working on letters of support, and we received quite a few letters of support in advance of that meeting. Those things really helped us succeed. The first time we approached the council last year, they were not in favor of this at all. They had many concerns about sharing information. Now we've got this agreement in principle. We're ready to move forward. We should be able to get the information flowing. I would say within a few months we should be able to get started on getting information flowing on at least a few diseases. And I'd also like to point out that if we're successful in this, the Equine Network is leading the way, because then, the next step would be to expand this to other groups as well. So I just wanted to send my congratulations out to all the people who worked on this.
I think that's a great point, actually, yeah. And thank you so much to everybody, all the organizations who did send letters, because it was, I don't think it would have happened necessarily without that. Would you agree with that, Cheryl?
Absolutely. I think that was critical, yeah.
Yeah, because really, I mean, from our perspective at Equestrian Canada, it's really crucial, and it's been so wonderful to have some more information flowing from across the country and be able to provide those disease alerts via the Canadian Animal Health Surveillance System. And for those of you who've been following the Equine Disease Communication Center, the EDCC website for updates in the United States, we have been sending updates to them, but now CAS is able to share those updates publicly, and perhaps with the call notes we can share that, we can share the direct link to that, because we are able, so in the same way that EDCC is sharing information, CAS is sharing Canadian information, which is also a huge win to be able to see those disease outbreaks. So when there was an outbreak of strangles in Eastern Canada, CAS was able to post that, and it is on CAHSS, so CAS.ca, under the Equine Network. So it is there, which is amazing, and I think that's really to be commended too, because that has been, it seems like something that would not be so hard to do, but it has been an uphill battle, but it's really there, but now it's happening, so it's good. So thank you very much for attending. The other thing to note is that under the call notes and the call recording, there will be an additional call. There was a public call with CFIA with regards to the equine infectious anemia proposal. So that call recording and the notes are available publicly too. So we will post those. We'll be posting those shortly also, so that if you are making a decision and you wanted some additional information, you could listen to that in addition to reading the documentation. So hopefully that will help in making your organization's decision and providing appropriate feedback. So thank you everybody for joining us, and have a wonderful day.